I'm a Bolivian that now lives in Asia, in Bangkok, focused on the global south. Well, the first thing about alternatives that I want to say is that I would say the key is what we learn today. There is no alternative if there is no truth, if there is no memory, if there is no justice. It's impossible to build an alternative that is based on lies and impunity. And this is something that happens many times in governments and political parties, even of the left, and that they call themselves revolutionaries. So we have to stick to this key principle. The second thing is alternatives are already being built on the ground. The food sovereignty movement around the world can show many different cases of how this is growing, from this slow food movement, the fight against land grabbing. We have now a stronger movement against fracking than what we had 10 years ago, for example. The movement against nuclear energy. So those alternatives are being built on the ground. But we also realize that if we don't challenge power, we are not going to be able to change the rules of the game. We can do a very strong campaign and close a coal mine or target a corporation. But if the rules of the system continue, then other corporations will take their place. So the real challenge is how we're going to change those rules of the game. And now, after all these years, there is no way to do it if we don't target power. Now, to target power means to build a political force that addresses that issue. This is something that we need, but it's also a very big danger. Because the story of political parties of the left in Asia, Europe, Latin America, is that once they come into power, they are co-opted by the system. They begin to reproduce what they were targeting before, and they don't overcome the logic of capital. In other words, they don't change the rules of the game. So this is an important issue. And we are going to face this situation in Greece, in Spain with Podemos, in Indonesia, where different social movements are looking on ways to participate in the government. And how we are going to deal this time with this situation is key. Because if we do it the right way, we're going to move forward. But if we do it the wrong and traditional way, it's going to be a very big step backward again. So we have to focus on these key issues. It's not the issue of Greece. It's not the issue of Indonesia. It's the issue of all of us. Because what happens there in Spain will have to do with our future. The other key issue that I want to raise here, and it's not mentioned very much, is the issue of nature. There is no alternative if we don't change our relation with nature. The traditional left has an anti-capitalist discourse, but in reality, they are as productivist as capitalists. They are as extractivist as capitalists. We have to overcome this relation with nature where we only see nature as a bunch of resources. There is no alternative if there is not a serious change in relation to nature. And this is very much linked to another key issue, patriarchy. Most political movements from the left are machists. This is a key element. We are not going to change the relation. with nature. We're not going to overcome capital if we don't begin to treat our partners as our partners. And not as things, as we treat nature too. And finally, the real alternative is how do we build people's power? This is the key issue. We can maybe achieve the reduction of poverty or some democratic rights better in this country than in this other, and that is a step forward. But the real measure, if we are moving forward or not, is how strong is our civil society, how strong are our own social movements. And this is key. And in order to address this, we need to achieve concrete victories in the different scenarios that you have mentioned. But we also have to look for a new paradigm that goes beyond the daily demands, that goes beyond targeting more wages, more democracy, but to look at a different kind of society, a society where humanity can be recovered to live in harmony between humans and in harmony with nature. Thank you very much.